Like anything else, we can control things that we can control. We can manage things that we can control. And I think even today, future proofing for organization means to be able to innovate continuously and in a systematic way and all levels.
You've built a career in being a future-proofing expert. Now, I put to you that it is increasingly impossible to future-proof. At least it's increasingly impossible to predict what the future will look like and plan specifically for it. So what does that mean? And what do people do to quote unquote future-proof as people and maybe more importantly as organizations? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Absolutely. So that was why I opened our conversation before we started recording, that I don't know what is going to happen with AI.
Right? None of us do.
So I was kind of preparing for this conversation, that while 2 years ago I knew what future proofing means, today, as much as more I learn about AI, kind of less certain I've become about the future. However, just to, like anything else, we can control things that we can control. We can manage things that we can control. And I think even today, future proofing for organization means to be able to innovate continuously and in a systematic way and all levels.
Yes.
Innovation for many, decades has been this buzzword. You have some smart people in a corner hacking things together, and then if you're lucky, you'll be able to connect it to the enterprise and scale it, depending on your organization culture and your kind of investment available. Many moving parts.
Yep.
But even today, with AI in play, the organizations that will kind of continue, at least in this stage of AI, are organizations that are be able to have the right culture of learning at all level, culture
Yep.
of experimenting at all level, and culture of continuous improvement across all level. Have the right data culture, because AI, the game of AI, with siloed and disconnected and non-existing data, is not going to have the kind of the right output. And then we get to the technology stack in terms of having the right tools and enablers to help the organization to achieve the kind of parameters that the culture has set, and enable that data-driven decision making inside the organization.
So this is look, this is so good. Right now we're in a little bit of violent agreement, right? And I don't know if you've read it. I recently read a book called Same as Ever by, I think it was Morgan Housel. But there's a chapter in this book that talks about how hard it is and how hard it's been through history for humans to sort of plan for and predict the future. And it quotes a gentleman whose name I'm forgetting right now. We'll dig it up for the show notes. But that basically says, look, if you can't predict the future, you set yourself up to prepare for it, right? And it could be preparing for earthquakes in California if you don't know where they're going to be. It can be preparing for rapid change through this culture of innovation, iteration, and data centricity that you say. I love this, and I think it's actually one of those brilliant insights that is so often overlooked, right? You can't know what's going to happen next, but you can set yourself up to adapt to it. But here's the thing. Aren't you running just head on against like classic innovator's dilemma? Like, aren't you kind of preaching the what should be, but isn't it kind of naive to think that organizations can actually do this? Like,
Well, I think if you absolutely. So I started by saying that innovation has been a buzzword, something to create some excitement. It has been kind of maybe limited to a team in the organization and so on. And also earlier mentioned that AI game is a transformational game.
Yes.
And and I started with culture. Before we had any kind of transformation to talk about people, process, technology, right? That has kind of this is a different game. And I start with culture, data, and technology. And culture, of course, is focuses on how we operate as the kind of human capital inside the organization. But the everything from how you capture your data, how you manage your data, how you kind of take in or add in bias into your data, as well as how you build your AI products, as well as if you have this continuous learning culture, if you have the risk taking culture, all of it is part of the cultural parameters that you need to have in an organization. And then that filters down to the data, and then the technology will enable it. And yes, it is the magic is in the implementation of it.
Always.
Because you can have plenty of policy documents, but
How do you
how do
test
you
it?
implement that?
How do you recommend that a leader of an organization test and measure whether or not they're set up to be future proofed? Are there KPIs they can track? Are there conversations they can have?
I think again, organization is an organization is not a kind of not everybody plays the same role and have had the same job. So before, again, innovation was the role of product team or user experience team or so on. So with them, you kind of have an easier way of be able to do this. But today we're expecting of our operation team, the team that are doing purchasing and forecasting and human resources, everybody to be in this game. So you have different level of maturity in that aspect. And how can you apply the principles that has been in the product development and in user experience approach in terms of the mindset and what to put forefront, and how to play and kind of experiment and learn this continuous learning, how to take those principles and then apply it to the group of team members that haven't been in this game before. So any leader, I think they can't see everybody at the same time, So it's different level of maturity based on the role. Second is I think in terms of enabling the team and with the technology. For instance, we have done this experiment with organizations and with the team members that are not used to use AI in their day-to-day job, or they don't know how the impact will be. In terms of making that available and create a kind of a 2-week window for them to learn, in the form of gamification even, and based on their roles to create a number of challenges that they have. Okay, me as a HR manager, I need I want to do these things faster, or I want to access this data this way, and create a kind of challenge library. And then based on that, move forward with creating these squad teams for them to select challenges and start working with the tool to create a use case that they could utilize.
Yeah.
So it is very practical, and
Yes.
there is no kind of a shortcut to it. It's about learning, experimenting, and going systematically about it.